Hey, there's more than one way to grow a business. There are actually five, in my opinion, but most owners don't choose their path. They default into one. And that's why growth actually gets heavier instead of better. So let's slow this down because the decision that you make shapes everything. It absolutely shapes your next few years. Stick around. That's what we're talking about.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Shin.
Hey, welcome back to Franchise Pitfalls and Profits. And as I always say, this is the show that's about real mechanics of growing a business, how to build it the right way, how to avoid the mistakes. We know they're out there, but they will quietly stall a good business. And we want you to create strong systems that can actually carry not just growth, but it's actually going to be able to carry scale. Hey, this is the final episode in a series that I've been talking about and leading that is heading me toward the Miami Business Show, which is at the Miami Conference Center, April 29 and 30. So over the last few weeks, we have covered a lot of ground. We talked about the 5 ways that a business grows. We talked about what really happens when you try to move beyond one location, because that's one way of building the business. We looked at growth paths that most owners don't ever really consider. We encouraged you and we helped you step back to ask you what your business really actually needs next. And then last week, we talked about the problems that growth creates when it happens too quickly, and when it happens in particular without structure, without deliberate architecture of a business. So today, I'm just really going to try to pull this all together, because at the end of all of this, there's really one thing left. You have to make a decision. So let's get started. Most owners don't make a growth decision. And this is what I've seen for the last 26 years that I have been in and around entrepreneurs and small to medium-sized businesses. Most owners don't decide that they're going to grow. They just kind of drift into it. The business is doing well, opportunities start showing up, the top line starts to move. Someone suggested, boy, your business ought to be able to do ABC. Or a business owner just one day sitting in his office thinks like, well, hey, this is my next step. And they move. They don't choose. They move. And there's a real difference there, because when you don't choose your growth path, you inevitably inherit consequences that come without making a decision or a deliberate or intentional direction, setting in a deliberate or intentional direction. So there's really no best way, I don't think, to grow a business. There's only one that is probably the right fit. And that's the 2 words I want you to hear today: right fit. That's what you're going for, because what's the right fit for your neighbor business down the street, down the aisle, for your buddy who owns a business, for the most successful business owner as a member of the Chamber of Commerce, whatever it might be, that's not necessarily what's right for your business, because every path carries something different with it. And for example, if you open more locations, you take on more operational complexity. If you go down a franchising route, you take on responsibility for other owners' outcomes. If you acquire a business along the way, you take on that integration type risk. If you add another revenue stream, You take on a different focus maybe, and you have execution risk there. If you just stay in your own lane, in your own business, in your own geography, and you try to optimize and create more systems and processes in your current model, you may limit the speed. You'll strengthen that foundation, but maybe you grow slower than you were hoping you would. So every move is different. Everyone has different risks. Everyone has different costs. And again, the problem is that most owners don't see what's coming. They only see what looks like the positive in what they're thinking of doing, or in the opportunity to grow, if you will. So let's go into this a little more deeply and find out why owners often go down the wrong path. Again, I am trying with my 26 years in this space I'm trying to help you see some of the pitfalls and potholes of what's coming, depending on what you do. And so that's really why I go into the detail that I'm going into. So most owners do not evaluate all of these opportunities, what I call the 5 paths. They default to one that just sort of happens or seems to feel like the one that's more natural. Usually it's like, let's open another location. Why is that? Well, that's kind of familiar. I've done it here, and I should be able to do it over there. It feels like they'd have more control doing that. It looks like good growth. Hey, that's a great city. That's a great county. I know some people over there. It looks like good growth to go over there and open another office or open another location. But familiar doesn't mean it's right. Controllable doesn't mean you can really scale doing that. What looks like growth can often just become a burden and actually start to negatively impact your profitability, even though the top line appears to be growing. I want to talk about the growth that works versus the growth that breaks your business, starts to shine light on the cracks and potentially break the business. At this point in the series, you should be able to see the difference. Growth that works strengthens your model. It creates leverage. It reduces dependency on the owner over time. That's a big one. You want to be able to grow, but also still have a life and be able to live the rewards of the growth and the effort that you've put in. You don't want this growth to create added work for you or added dependency. Good growth that works, builds something that can carry more weight, not say less weight. Now, poor growth, or growth that breaks the business, or at least really starts to open up the cracks, will add some complexity. It will increase dependency on the owner. It will expose weaker systems. Something that you maybe have had a sense that there's something going on, or something ought to be looked at or worked on, but business is going fine. The business moves along. The people that are there kind of patch over it, or are able to manually move around it. But this kind of growth is going to expose those things. And then growth that breaks feels heavier the more you grow. It's like, oh my gosh, our top line's going up. It's going up at a nice pace. We like this added revenue. Why does it not feel good? So, growth is the same word over and here, but is it growth that works, or is it growth that breaks? You've got potentially different outcomes. So here's the real question I think that we need to look at today. What kind of business are you actually trying to build? Not just how do I grow, but do you want, not just how do I want to grow, but do you want to open more locations? Do you want to build a brand that other people can leverage and use? Um, you want to optimize your systems, your people. Maybe you want to throw more capital into the business to be able to grow. Do you want depth where you are currently in your current location, your current geography, or do you want reach? The answers to that question really determines everything else that is going to go on in your business. So let me give you a framework to be thinking through this, because again, the challenge and the problem is most business owners, founders they're just not going here. They're not thinking of it this way. They're really a good builder of a home, but they just didn't have the business background. Maybe they're a great landscaper and property care company and person, but again, they just never really had business training or business skills. So that's why I'm going into this, trying to get you to slow down and look at an area where maybe you might not have been that comfortable with. And today I want to give you a decision framework, something that's going to make it easier for you to simply work through or walk through before you make your next move or default into your next move. So ask these questions. Where does my business currently break? That tells you what can't be scaled yet. It may say your whole business really is not ready to scale. So what is currently breaking? Remember, I said earlier that most business owners, there's something in their business, an area, they know they should pay more attention to it. They know they should deliberately go in there and kind of get it to work better or fix it. But the people that run that area, they've always just kind of manually moved through it. So I want you to ask yourself, what areas of your business like that currently break? I also want you to look at what are your strongest areas? What about your business is the strongest? Because this is going to tell you places that you may not be leveraging, you may not be maximizing the opportunities. So you want to intentionally start to think through, where is my business strongest? And then the third thing I really want you to think about is which growth path strengthens your current model, not just expands it, but what's also going to strengthen it. And this third one, honestly, is probably the one that matters the most, because expansion without strength just creates problems faster than creating progress. So that third one, which growth path strengthens your model as well as expanding it, is really, really an important one. And again, where is your currently business break? Where is it the strongest? What path is going to strengthen it? These are the three decision framework questions that should help you in an easier way, not default and intentionally decide growth paths. So most owners, I don't think, need more ideas. You probably have a plethora of ideas. Most business owners need some form of, honestly, of clarity, because once the decision is clear, and I've said this, you stop chasing options, you start reacting to your opportunities, and you stop trying to do everything, because you're starting to execute the right way. Again, that's when the decision is clear. You're going to be executing in the right ways, in the right areas. You're going to be doing the right things. So, as I head into my Miami week, I jump on a plane tomorrow. I will be sitting down with hundreds of, well, I won't be sitting down. I'll be standing and presenting. But I've got master classes at the Miami Convention Center. I'm going to be talking right now. There's almost 500 people registered for my breakout master classes. I'm going to sit down with business owners in the exact same place on these exact same topics. That's what the conversation of the master classes is going to be. It's not going to be how do you grow faster, but it's going to be about what growth decisions are you actually making. It's going to be encouraging them and teaching them the frameworks like we did today as to how to make these decisions rather than rolling into it or defaulting into it, because most haven't named it yet. They haven't found the right way. And until they get that clarity, they are just going to be moving on, rolling around almost like a boat without oars, just kind of going in the direction that seems to be where they should be going. So I want to close with this series that I've been talking about with some thoughts. If you've listened to these episodes, if you have been thinking about growth, if you're in that stage right now, I want you to pause. That's one of the biggest messages I've been trying to say. Pause, work through some of the frameworks that I've been sharing. Ask yourself, am I choosing to grow or have I defaulted into it? You can still stop. I shouldn't say stop. You can still pause even if you've defaulted into growth. But this answer is critical. The answer to this will shape the next several years of your business. So it's critical to pause, be more intentional about it, get more clarity, and make a good decision. Right fit were the two words I talked about. You want to be looking for the right fit for the growth that's best for your company. Again, if this series has helped you think differently about growth, reach out, connect with us. Share it with someone else. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. We're really, really working on helping business owners choose the right one of the 5 paths. See you next week. See you after Miami. I'll tell you more about